What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear my music? What's going on? Welcome in. Welcome in. I have to switch up the sound just a little bit for you guys. Welcome in. Welcome back. Welcome to another live stream. Happy Hour Vibes. Monday night live. Come on in, friends. Come on in. We got some stuff to talk about. We got some stuff to talk about. I hope you had a great weekend. Come on in. Hit the like button on your way. Hit the share button. And we're going to get this thing started. Make sure you are pulling up and hitting that like button, please. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to another show. We're about to get this thing started in just a second. Can y'all hear my music out there? Let me know if you can hear my music. I have to switch it up just a little bit. Well, yeah, welcome back to the channel. Speaking of this music, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Welcome back, y'all. So look, since the last time we've been here, since the last time we went live, hold on, let me fix that. Okay. Since the last time we went live, we were discussing the 4th of July, all the diabolical things that happened during July 4th at the Capitol in Washington, how it was a whole, march on Washington by the Ku Klux Klan, et cetera, basically. And then in addition to that stream, we introduced a breaking story about Nolan Wells, right? And since that story broke, because Nolan Wells, as you all know, he was a young man that was found unalived over July 4th weekend after he went out on a boat with his so-called friends, right? Phone came back. Now we know the keys and the car came back, but he never returned back to land, allegedly, right? Since then, the stories have changed up so much. The stories have changed so much. And like we suspected, y'all, it's some bullshit in the game. And I'm really disgusted by how much has come out since the last time we spoke, with not only all of the people involved, the kids that were supposedly on that boat, how they all deactivated all of their profiles immediately before putting up a rest in peace, Nolan Wells, before even showing any type of sympathy. They're deactivating accounts. Then come to find out, one of the boys that were on that boat, his stepmother is a major judge, is a major judge within that state of Mississippi. She came out with a weird ass statement. We're going to read that. I don't know what you guys have heard, but we're going to recap everything that we have found out since the last time we spoke, which was last Monday. And then we'll give you a current update, because since then, y'all, like in the thumbnail, allegedly Nolan made it back to shore. Not only did he make it back to shore, but he made it back to the house that night to go to a damn pool party at his friend's house. So more questions are coming up, because what the hell happened? What's going on? And why is there so many cover-ups and not enough answers? And why is the media automatically jumping, not even the media, but more so law enforcement within that state, coming out directly saying there was no foul play involved? But from the very beginning, it was foul play involved. So we're just going to take a little deep dive into what's been going on, what people are saying, and how people are assessing this situation, and how it's not just us that think it's some bullshit in the game. And for those who want to say, it ain't no race involved, let's be honest. Let's be honest. From the very beginning, from the way that they handled this entire situation, you can't think of it, you can't determine it any other way than it being the way that it's handled, because Nolan Wells was a black boy. Because had this whole situation been turned around differently, as we all know, is if it was 3 black boys that was out there on a boat with 1 white boy, and that white boy didn't come back, or he came up missing and we don't know what's going on, Before those boys would have got back to shore, cops would have been ready to put them all in handcuffs in the back of a paddy wagon, ready for a line of questioning. There would be no doubt about that. But not in this case. Not in this case. So it's just been so much. It's a little bit overwhelming. So bear with me. We're going to get to it. I got my notes here to keep me on track. Promise not to have you here long, but you guys make sure you like the video. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Mr. Center of the World, thank you. I see you. Reese from Philly. What's up from Philly? Reese from Philly, the Red Dragon. Welcome in. Welcome in. Love you back. DI. What's that? Carlo Blackfoot. What's going on? What's going on? Rogue C, my girl. You've been doing your things on this panel. I saw you doing your debate the other day, girl. You did that. You handled it nicely. It's not so easy. You made it. You made it look very easy though. So shout out to you and thank you for being here, sis. You know what I mean? Exactly. Definitely foul play for sure. And like Rosie said, and Rose, let me go ahead and give you a wrench, girl. I'll make sure I do that before the night is up. But yeah, make sure you like, share, and comment. But you know, the best thing you can do to support the channel is liking the video, you guys. But I appreciate you guys for pulling up. I appreciate y'all being here, and we're gonna get this thing started. What you say? If it was one white boy with a bunch of black kids, they would have had first with it. Exactly. Full investigation. Not the it would not be any talk of no foul play. No. It would be a full investigation open looking to, you know, claim foul play that happened to this boy. There would be no benefit of the doubt if it was the other way around. So we got to stop acting like, you know, racial injustice is not playing a part in this whole entire situation. So you guys, like I said, like the video for me, please. And we're going to get into a couple of quick updates. All right. So give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And let me just pull up this first video. Give me 1 second. Okay, y'all. So the first thing I want to do is really get into the judge, right? Because as you guys know, she's one of the people involved, one of the stepmothers to one of the boys that was on that damn boat. I just want to talk about her first statement that she decided to come out with, and then also give you a little bit of background on who this judge is, how she operates as a judge in the state of Mississippi, and how it makes sense that if there was foul play, she's getting ahead of it right away because she knows the law. She knows what to say. She knows what not to say. So when you find out that this lady is a judge and involved in this case, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense that everybody is all of a sudden deactivating their accounts. They were deactivating accounts before we even knew Nolan was missing. That's number one, right? But no other statements have been released. Apparently, well, we're going to get into all the updates. But first, I want to get into this judge here because this woman here is somebody that we need to be paying close attention to because she has been in everybody's inbox. She's been confronting people, defending herself. But let's see what she said the first time that she came out with a statement, okay? Let me just pull this up real quick. Here we go. Are liking the video? What's going on, Biz Shorty? You are just fine. You have made it just in time. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. So let's get into her first statement because the language, the words that she decided to use to come out with a very, you know, with a statement in regards to this case is very telling. So shout out to this video that I found on Threads by Talk Your Shit Nini. Let's see what this statement had to say.
Judge Ashley Cole has released a statement on behalf of her family and her stepson, Warren. I'm not going to read all, you guys can pause. Basically, she said that Nolan was a good friend of the family, went to school with Nolan's mother, Christine. She also said she told everybody to go private on their account for the very simple reason that she has younger children and she did not want to subject them to social media and all of the harassment and bullying that was going to come with Nolan's unaliving.
Okay, so let's just stop it right there real quick, y'all. Let's just stop it right there. So right away, and I'm going to try to make this a little bigger so you can see what's going on. So right away, the words are already giving, don't blame us because we are guilty. That's what is given to me, right? So she's saying our family along with the community grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our thoughts and prayers are with Nolan's family. Our son Warren loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors with some facts based upon the social media attention that is being diverted away from the Wells family and their loss. So right away, she wants to come out to defend herself. Before any police came out to say that this was a criminal investigation, before anybody had claimed that any people that was on that boat had anything to do with Nolan's death, she's already getting ahead of it to say, oh, not us. And I'm going to defend myself. So she says, yes, I deactivated my Facebook. Given a very heightened emotional state of social media right now, I fear for the safety of my children and my children. Well, I'm sorry to say, Judge Ashley Cole, your children are now suspects. You're worried about the social media safety of your children. Meanwhile, your children was with another parent's child that turned up dead when they were with him. Your children that you're trying to protect the privacy of had no regard to Nolan Wells' life when they were with him. So while you want to come out and say, oh my God, I need to protect my child, I need to protect my children, where was the protection of Nolan Wells when your children were in their care? When Nolan Wells was with your children? And apparently you were out there too. And we'll get to that. Apparently you was out there on that boat. So while you're out here trying to make yourself a victim, you have no regard to the body of Nolan Wells that was washed up, allegedly, after hanging out with you and your kids. I'm sorry, man. I don't give a fuck about the safety of your children when your children didn't give a fuck about the safety of Nolan Wells. So that's the first thing that pissed me off about this statement, because you're already trying to play victim. She goes on to say, my husband and I have 6 children and we covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet, presenting potential threats to their safety. Again, you tone deaf woman. A child is dead. A young boy is dead after hanging out with you and your children. We don't care. And if you are innocent the way you are claiming to be, nobody should be deactivating profiles. Everybody should be willing and ready to speak to the authorities, to have open accounts, because they have nothing to hide, right? But not in this case. So now we have, let's read a little bit more. She goes on to say, sorry about that. She goes on to say, I graduated high school with Christine Wells, which is Nolan Wells' mother. We are from the same community. Look at you, constantly explaining yourself. I have the utmost respect for her and all of the Wells family. We mourn the loss of Nolan with them. Our prayers have been and will continue to be with them. Ma'am, you being and going to high school with Nolan Wells' mom doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't help the case at all. In fact, it actually makes you look worse, because if you were so close with Nolan's mom, if you were so close with that family and y'all love Nolan and you love their family, why is this your way of showing support to this grieving mother? By coming out, explaining yourself and defending yourself. Already suspect, right? So then we have more to go. She says, no one in our family is trying. Oh no, it said, my husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on 4th of July. But we find out later on, you guys, that's a lie. She happened to be there, took a picture for all of how many minutes, and then left. But here in her first statement says she wasn't there at all. But let's continue. No one in our family is trying to in any way impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. So then why are you going private on all of your accounts, ma'am? Lie after lie, deflection after deflection. To me, this is a clear admission of guilt. To me, you're already letting us know that there was foul play. You're already letting us know that you had a lot to do with this shit. And now you're just trying to save face. Now you're trying to cover your tracks and cover your ass. That's what is given to me. So she goes on to say they left around 3 o'clock on the 4th. I'm sorry, they last saw Nolan around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30. The boat started to sink. They wanted to get back to shore. She's saying that Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return to inland later with another group of friends. So my question is this: if he decided to tell his friends that he wanted to stay inland and not go back with them, what was the reason to say and call the Coast Guard or call authorities and say that he was missing? Because according to y'all, he couldn't have been missing. You knew where he was at, right? You knew that he decided. It wasn't like y'all just left without him and then y'all just looked up. But the way y'all made it seem was, oh my God, we got back to shore and noticed that Nolan wasn't there. But according to your kids that were there, they claim that Nolan told them, hey, he decided to stay back. So why call and basically make a missing persons report if you knew that he was going to stay behind, allegedly? But let's continue with what this lady had to say regarding the statement.
And later with another group of friends. Now, the guy to the far left of the screen, that is Warren. On top of that, Warren's mother made a statement. She basically said the same thing. We're all distraught. We're all hurt. That people's information is not right. Another boy by the name Wyatt asked Nolan to get on the boat several times, but Nolan said he wanted to stay behind with Katie. She said Warren doesn't even own a boat. Once again, the boat was taking on water and it had to be towed to shore. She also said her son had nothing to do with it, and he was the first one to notice that Nolan was missing when they got back to the house. They called his mother and the coast.
See, this part I don't understand. So now we have another mother claiming that another boy is saying that Warren was there. Nolan insisted that he stayed. And my thing is, y'all already know no teenager who wants to stay somewhere is going to leave their phone, leave all of their belongings, even if they were getting on another boat and saying that they were going to leave the one that they came with. They're going to take their stuff and hop on that other boat. But again, the stories are already not adding up, because if he said he didn't want to go back with y'all, what is this? Oh, I noticed that Nolan wasn't with us. How do you just notice it? And then that sounds like bullshit from the jump, because the time that it takes, they were several miles out away from land. You telling me that it took 10 miles, y'all coming from where y'all were on that island, getting back to shore, getting in your cars, going back to the house, and it wasn't until you got to the house that you didn't realize that the only black boy that was with y'all wasn't on that damn boat? That's the story you want us to believe? That's what y'all going with? Oh, we didn't know. We didn't realize. I was the first to notice that he wasn't there. But how did you know he wasn't there if he said that you knew that he wasn't going to be there, though? So what do you mean you just noticed? And how do you just notice the only black boy not being with you, the one that came with you? How do you all of a sudden not notice up until you get back to the house? You would have been noticed that several minutes from driving from the island all the way back to shore. You would have looked around on that boat and said, wait, where the fuck is Nolan? But it wasn't until you got back to that house? Okay. So this is all from the beginning, y'all. This is all several weeks ago. More has already come out. So we're going to get there. I just want to give y'all a quick update, unless just in case you didn't hear all of this, right? And just for you to get my point of view as well. So let's keep going.
To the house. They called his mother and the Coast Guard. The only thing that confuses me about this, Katie told her mother, and I quote, Katie assumed that the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't leave him. Warren's mother said Nolan wanted to stay with Katie. So who's the last one to actually be with Nolan? If Katie didn't stay, his friends didn't stay. Was he left there on the island by himself? I'm just raising questions. That's all I got for now. Will I stand corrected?
Shout out to her. So now let me play one more video. So now you see the weirdness, right? The statement that's came out from the judge. We already know that's bullshit. Now the conflicting stories. They said Katie said she was the last one to see him. Katie said, no, I ain't see him. He said he was going back on that boat. So what happened, right? But now let's kind of redirect a little bit back onto the judge, okay? Give you a little history on how she handles cases in Mississippi, how reckless she is, how negligent she is when it comes to bringing justice to people as a judge. So let's get into it.
Cole, who's a judge in Mississippi, who's also been identified as the stepmother of Warren Hudson. You know, one of the little boys that was on that boat when Nolan didn't come back. And now his family has to grieve and seek justice because of something that happened that they refused to cooperate with the family. But let me give you a little insight on why Judge Cole is exhibit 1 as to why this family needs their independent investigation. You see, it's attached to people who are judges, who are lawyers, firemen. We're talking about connections to cover shit up. Let's talk about her. One of the most important reasons why Nolan Wells' family is going to need an independent investigation is because of this lady. You may remember her because there was a case in Mississippi that involved exchanging children, and a mother was unalived by the child's father because Cole refused to allow her to exchange at a police station where it was safer. Instead, she was shot and unalived by said father during a drop-off. Y'all remember Aubrey Wyatt? This judge ordered her mother that she could not post anything online about her daughter's way out because it would bring too much attention. So when we're talking about an independent fucking investigation, she is red flag number 1. Yeah, if you think they are not covering shit up as we speak, she is exhibit number fucking danger 1. It just so happened her stepson was present during the last moments of Nolan's life, and they are refusing to cooperate and give the family answers. I have attached the family's GoFundMe because they're going to need the independent investigation, because I'll be damned if they play in the Wells face.
And they already have. So now that brings us to the next part. It gives us an update, right? Because now we know there has been Ben Crump and Al Sharpton that has decided to take on this case. They have gotten a private investigator. They have gotten a private autopsy. So let's go ahead and check out the latest updates on them getting Ben Crump and getting Al Sharpton to speak for them. This video was as of 3 days ago. So just give me 1 second, and you guys make sure you like the video, please. I really appreciate you guys being here. Oh, there we go. So now let's get into it, shall we? Now, a lot of people have mixed feelings in regards to Ben Crump, right? Little mixed feelings about Al Sharpton as well. And I understand why there is a little pause, because some people may say that they have a history of attaching themselves to Black people's, pain to profit, right? But at the end of the day, if this is what it's going to take for Nolan Wells to receive justice, whether that is civilly or federally, we need to do what we need to do. So let's get a little insight on the first press conference, that the parents did with Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. I'm going to start it from about right here. Shout out to PBS NewsHour. Let's play it.
This smacks of some of the worst fears that we've had historically, not only in Mississippi, but in this country. and we are there until the end with them. I've been asked by the family to be in Mississippi for the funeral to officiate, which I'm going to do. We just got off the phone with Tyler Perry, the actor who says he wants to help cover whatever expenses for the funeral. We have with us Spike Lee is in the house. Many of our people that have always supported families are there. This is not about them trying to raise money. We're going to take care of that. This is about, though, they got to keep going forward. But we want justice, and let the chips fall where they may. If it ends up being one way that we suspect was wrong, fine. But if it's another way, don't back up and play games with this.
I find it interesting that he does have to clarify this is not about raising money. This is not about money, et cetera, et cetera. We should know that. But I feel like Al Sharpton specifically has to come out and speak towards that because, oh, what's going on in my life? What's going on? What's going on? Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. But like you just said, it's a money grab all around when Ben Crump and Al Sharpton step in. Al Sharpton helped sell out civil rights leaders, and both of them are Masonic Boule. See, this is what I'm saying, y'all. It's so many different weird things going on regarding this case that you don't know what to trust. You don't know what to listen to. And the fact that some of his language that Al Sharpton just used tried to call out a thing and then deflect, we're not doing this as a money grab. Why even bring that up? We should know that already, right? We should know that you're doing it for the right reasons to bring justice to Nolan Wells, and you are assisting in doing that. So when I heard this, and I'm playing these interviews because there were certain languages that they were using that I felt that were being framed specifically to make it seem a certain type of way, right? From their language that they were using, and even the parents, y'all, some of the stuff that they were saying, trying to avoid saying that this was racially motivated or anything like that. It just seemed very PR media trained ready to avoid any backlash like they once did. Well, like we have seen when it was racially charged, like in the Carmelo Anthony case. But my thing, we got to call a spade sometimes. We got to call it out. But let's continue.
They are not activists or lawyers. So they only want justice for their son. I'm an activist. When we get there and they say we heating things up, that's what we do. Because sometimes you got to make people sweat to get the poison out their system. I'm the sweat man. And they are the parents that want to see justice for their son. Let you hear from Christine and Elmer Wansley and then Attorney Crump. Okay, Attorney Crump, and then we hear from him.
Thank you, Reverend Al, for always answering the bell as you have done on so many occasions when families.
So I want to highlight this comment. And you guys, I appreciate any support. Definitely like the video. But if you want more of your comments read, you can do so by sending a super chat, etc. So I can make sure that I read it out loud if you want to engage with me in that way. But I appreciate you guys for being here. So this comment is interesting to me. It says, my life, your entertainment said, them old niggas never brought justice, only checks the families and himself after Black racially charged deletions. Now, excuse me, do we not think that like owning a check or getting a check is a part of the justice? I'm not saying it should be the only way of justice, but if it were me, I want money for my pain and suffering, and I also want whoever done me wrong under the jail. Can we do both and still say there was justice brought? Is it less justice if we do only receive a check? You know what I mean? Has Ben Crump ever been able to give a check, a financial justice towards an injustice to a Black family and also put perpetrators in jail? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know, because I don't think there's anything wrong with getting a check and getting justice to the fullest extent of the law as well. Thank you so much, the Genius. I see you in the building. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I'm broke, baby, with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for being here. I see y'all slowly but surely trickling on in. Let me give you a round of applause. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Money does not equal justice, but can we get both? Can we do both? Can we do both? Is all I'm saying. I don't think money equals justice, but I don't think it's wrong to include a financial, like a financial gain in the name of justice as well. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to see reparations, and I will also see, those that have done harm to people regarding reparations be held accountable as well by way of justice, if that makes sense. But let's continue, y'all. Thank y'all for being here.
Get the worst news of their life, and make no mistake about it. Christine and Elmo got the worst news of their life on what was supposed to be a joyous occasion where everybody was celebrating the 4th of July weekend. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Lisa Park and Jared Presson and Camila Moore. We have the honor and the privilege of helping to lead an independent investigation on behalf of the family of Nolan Wells. Why do you say we need to be retained to lead an independent investigation? It is because the family has distrust of the Mississippi law enforcement officials giving them a fair investigation where their Black son ended up dead after going out on a boat with 3 young white men. The history of Mississippi is something they don't just read about in books, but it's a lived experience for many Black Americans, that oftentimes when our children are killed in highly questionable situations, that there is.
And it's very interesting because he says that the parents don't trust the Mississippi law enforcement. And we're going to play a video later on kind of highlighting hangings and lynchings in Mississippi. Oh, baby. And they're all being ruled as suicide. It is a thing. Of course, it's Mississippi. But between the years of like 2020 to 2026, the amount of Black people specifically that have been found hanging, that have been found unalived, and it's all been ruled suicide is crazy. So it's no wonder they don't feel safe getting an actual investigation done the right way, because right out the gate, law enforcement came out and claimed no foul play. Nobody on that boat was questioned. Nobody was deemed a suspect after a dead body was found after several hours after the people saw him alive. They're not handling it as a criminal investigation at all. So of course they would need to go and find extra help. We're just hoping that Ben Crump and Al Sharpton is going to do what they need to do.
There's this notion that, it was nothing wrong, no foul play, let's just sweep it under the rug. Well, we refuse to sweep it under the rug. We refuse to just let Nolan Wells' death be in vain. We're going to make sure that we get to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because Nolan deserves it. You're going to hear his mother and father talk about what a wonderful young man he was. Doing everything right. Reverend Al, he was not only a college student, he was a great athlete. He was a model big brother for his brothers and little brothers and sisters. And he was a great son who was on the cusp of becoming a man. Christine and Elmore did everything to prepare him for this moment. He was so close. He was right there. You're going to hear his father talk about him had a good football season last year, but this season he was really ready to go to the next level, to go to Division I. I mean, the highlights that you're seeing on social media of his athletic prowess. I mean, it is all relevant, because when you start talking about drowning, I mean, this is a kid who knew how to swim. This is a kid.
That's another odd thing. That's another odd thing. And new evidence and new updates has come out that that boy's body was not waterlogged. There was no water found in his lungs. But let's go ahead and fast forward to what the parents had to say, and then we'll play the latest recap video.
Scared us. Me and his dad had conversations with him all the time, not just about the importance of understanding our history as Black people, but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces. And it's not us being, feeding into racism or the stereotypes that comes with that. Unfortunately, that is just a matter of fact. There have been many cases, many instances that shows it's.
And my thing is, I don't just call it what it is. Yes, we do think there's some racial motivation happening behind the scenes here. It doesn't make sense. Even with the way law enforcement is handling my son's situation, is giving racial bias, is giving, we're not going to do everything we can to bring your son justice. We're just going to call it an accidental drowning and keep it moving, even though nothing aligns with that narrative. Those things need to be said out loud at these press conferences, so we can keep the pressure on law enforcement, on the system, so they can know we see them. We see it, and we're not going to continue to accept you charging it to the game with accidents all the time, when if it was the other way around, it would never be deemed as such. But let's continue.
Fortunately, a pattern that he did not like. He did not like that there was so much division, and I think that's why God gave him us. He was really a peacemaker. He wanted, like I said, everyone to be included. He never wanted to leave anyone out. He just, even at a young age, I don't know, he was, how old was he? No, not 18. So his father and I were having a moment, and as couples do, and even in that moment, he runs in the room with his diaper on, of course, and he starts dancing, because it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid. Like, he was a special kid.
Okay, we know that he was a special kid. We know that he was athletic, but I just don't like, it just seems very rehearsed. And I hope they are not being fed what to say and what not to say to appease media standards, so it doesn't make white folks uncomfortable. And to me, that's what it gives. Saying like he was a peacemaker, he hated division, he wanted everybody to be together, he wanted everybody to feel included. They're framing it like, yeah, no, we're not that kind of family. And that's very convenient for the narrative that they want us to believe about what happened to Nolan, which I don't think will contribute to his justice.
Taking videos, he's taking.
So I'm going to skip forward to his mother speaking to how he was using his phone.
Because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey mom, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like he just, that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts.
And so my question is, why, after learning this conference was just a few days ago. Since learning that you retrieve your son's phone back, that you had to ping and try to find on your own because they had that phone and didn't want to give it up, didn't want to turn it over to you, has law enforcement said, okay, that's strange. We need to talk to everybody that had that phone. That's an open investigation right then and there. But they have yet to even do that. If the mother is saying his phone showed messages and photos that have been recently deleted, which we all know this is the age of AI. Nothing is ever deleted. They can find that data that has been removed from his phone. Even if he had like an iPad or something, you know, that connects to your phone, those messages can be retrieved there. Nothing is ever deleted. But the fact that she found that phone with suspicious activity had into it after her son turned up missing should have been an automatic opening for a criminal case, in my opinion, because that's suspect. Why would the phone be returned with deleted messages and deleted photos, knowing that this kid is always the one taking photos, right? So let's continue on. I want to bring you guys to, and make sure you like the video, please. So now, as you guys know, the parents have come out. They've done a few press conferences. Another thing that was interesting was one of Nolan's friends coming out and speaking to the situation at hand on TMZ, right? Which I also found very interesting because this boy seemed very young. He didn't really seem like he knew exactly what was going on. And then come to find out, he wasn't actually there on that same boat with him, right? So it's very questionable. Just a lot. It's just a lot going on. But y'all give me 1 second. I'm going to find this video. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Thank y'all for being here. Make sure you hit the like button, please. Turn this music down just a little bit. Sorry about that. So now let's play a little video of the so-called best friend and hear what he had to say about what allegedly happened. And again, the framing of the language, how he was speaking towards certain things, how he didn't want to answer certain questions. All of it is very suspect to me. It's like they're all being told certain things to say.
But as you've heard, no doubt, from the parents, they are not willing to just accept.
This was 15 hours ago by Black Gotti. Shout out to him. This is per TMZ. Let's get into it.
Everything the authorities say.
Well, you can just start with the fact that no teenager leaves his phone behind when they decide, well, gives the phone to some friends and says, I'll just stay here alone without my phone. No teenager does that.
Yeah, I just did that part, never added up. So we have actually spoken to, got in touch with one of Nolan's friends, a young man who was actually on Horn Island that day, saw Nolan that morning and saw him in the afternoon also. So he's joining us just to tell us what he knows about what went on Horn Island. Javon Williams, Welcome to TMZ Live.
Can I clear up that first part? I didn't see him in the morning. I seen him when I
In the
got on the
afternoon, when you got out to the island. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I know that you were not on that boat that went back, but you did know the friends on the boat. You knew Nolan, obviously. One of the things that I wanted to know is, what was the relationship like between Nolan and these other people that ended up on that boat? Were they friendly? Did they sometimes argue? Can you kind of give us a sense of that?
Yeah, so Nolan hung out with them a lot. I wasn't ever hanging out with them because, they're older and they were like hanging out when they come back from like college and stuff like that. So Nolan was with them a lot. I was never like with them. I knew them, but I was never hanging out with them. I know one of the boys he was with was a pretty good dude. But other than that, I don't really know like as every time they hang out how it goes. Like I don't really know that because I never met them personally.
Javon, were they teammates of his? Did they play football also? Were they? I know they're a year ahead of you, but were they all teammates, or was Nolan the only one who played football?
Nolan was the only one that played football.
Okay.
So did Nolan ever talk about them? Did he ever describe his relationship with them? Did he, talk about how much fun they had, whether they got in arguments? Did he ever talk to you about them?
Never. He just told me like how they had like good times. They'll go like he'll just let me know if they're going out somewhere. They're gonna just hang out. He never really said anything bad about like them.
Okay. Take us to that day on July 4th. So roughly how many kids are out there for this party, and describe your interaction with Nolan that day on the island.
Okay, yeah. So it probably was around, I want to say around like 100 people. Like everyone from Horn Island, everyone of Horn Island like that lived on the coast were there pretty much. Obviously, it was older people. There's a lot of people there, like honestly. But I seen Nolan whenever I got out there out there around 11 o'clock. I had walked down to their boat. I had seen him, and it was like a whole bunch of people. I didn't expect it. So I seen Nolan. As soon as I seen Nolan, he's like, "Hey, bro, what you doing? Like, I love you, dog. I love you." And then we were just hanging out, chilling, just having a good time. And then so I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, an altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I don't want to say his name, but he had got an altercation. So I went and checked on him for about 20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone. But the thing about...
Remember, y'all, there has been updates that there was an alleged altercation that happened. Now, there's so many stories that's swarming around this altercation. Some people are saying Nolan wasn't in the altercation, but then there's other video that says Nolan was trying to get his phone back. But 1 minute he was trying to get that phone back while they were on the island on the boat. The next minute he tried to get his phone back again when he supposedly got back to that pool party. We'll get to that part. But again, so many holes in the story. Nothing is making sense.
The two boats that I said, there were two boats tied up. So therefore, I didn't know which boat Nolan exactly was on because they were both tied up.
Javon, have you seen the video that's been going around social media where people think that they're hearing an argument between people and they're wondering whether or not Nolan is one of the people in that argument? You just described that you had another friend, not Nolan, another friend who was in and got into a dispute. Is that video the other argument that you were talking about?
Yes.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear. Like from the side, it's too clear for it to be that far away, for it to be Nolan arguing. And then also that altercation, it sounds just like my other friend that got into the altercation on the boat. And they were trying to, like, as he was in that altercation, I was calming him down. They were trying to get him out off the island. They were trying to get him back to land because he was just losing it. So
describe that. That's kind of interesting. What was that about?
Bro, you know why the situation like really sucks and it's really bad? Because like just the situation itself is just a bunch of youngins like enjoying themselves, having fun, having drinks, and really vibe. And just by his friend, coming up here to say that somebody else was also arguing, let you know like this is just what they do. Things get out of hand.
Yeah, they was kicking it, but it's something deeper. It's something deeper going on, especially as it pertains to Nolan Wells. This wasn't your average boating outing this time. This wasn't your average, but let's continue.
Parents on that boat were trying to get him out.
The parents on the boat were trying to. Got it.
Yeah, but
So there were a lot of adults out there as well as young people.
Yeah.
When you say the parents were trying to get,
So we have an oddball in the group tonight. So you do realize you cannot drown yourself. Okay? Unless you literally put weight down on your body to drown you, you cannot stay underwater. All right? And drown yourself. And somebody would obviously see you. There were several people out there that day. You are not going to be able to drown yourself just out of anywhere, just out of nowhere without help. Okay? So this is somebody in the chat right now that wants to push a false narrative. And yes, I do boat. I do have boating outings. Absolutely. And I know all about people drowning. And usually when it happens, usually when it happens, these drownings are not happening by themselves, meaning that they didn't drown themselves. It's accidental. Somebody sees it, and people are immediately looking for that body once it is determined that that body is no longer on that boat. That's what I do know. I do know that there's a head count that's always taken when people are getting on that boat and when they go back and they get ready to return. And if somebody is getting off of that boat, that captain, and that's another question I have, where was the captain of this so-called boat? Who was driving the boat? I know it wasn't them kids. Why isn't the captain being questioned? Why isn't the captain being questioned about, well, who did you see getting on and off of that boat? Who was on the boat once you docked back to the shore? Did you notice anything? So there's a lot of missing pieces to this whole thing. No, I don't think, knowing what we know now, I didn't think it was accident ever. I do believe that he was unalived by these people. I believe, since what we know now, I believe that he was unalived and they brought his body back to that shore. Because like the Coast Guard had said, they went and they searched for that boy and they didn't see him until the very next day, until he was washed up, and it was said that his body wasn't even waterlogged. Your body has to be waterlogged to determine a drowning. So the drowning situation is automatically ruled out. In addition to, he was a swimmer. Now I'm not saying that, you know, there aren't tides, rip tides and currents that you can get flown into, but that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. If it was that dangerous of an area to dock boats at, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. If you're docking your boats in certain parts of the water and there's high tides, or there's, you know, areas within the place that you are docking that may have some type of ripple effect that'll suck you in, they won't even allow you to dock in that area. I know this for a fact. Exactly. If he did accidentally drown, someone would have said it already. Nobody did. And then on top of that, this happened in broad fucking daylight. It happened in broad daylight. 3:30, 4 o'clock p.m. Even if it was an accidental drowning, there were hundreds of kids out there, hundreds of people out there, several other boats out there that stayed there. Nobody saw anything. Nobody saw somebody, you know, flapping for their life. No, of course not. No, I'm not willing to consider that. No. His body wasn't waterlogged, so he didn't drown. But let's continue.
him out on a boat. You had mentioned 2 boats. Are those 2 boats different boats?
Different boats.
They're different boats. They were on down. They weren't exactly by Nolan and whoever's boat he was on. They were on down.
You're talking to a bunch of people, I'm sure, you know, who knew Nolan and maybe who were on the island. What's the buzz? What are people saying with you and your friends?
I mean, obviously, you know, it's hard. Like, I post my friend Nolan just to have, like, you know, show everyone that, like, how good of a person he was, and try to, like, bring closure to, like, whatever the hell happened.
Now, what's also crazy about this is that this was the friend that came out with the actual rest in peace. I can't believe this happened. He wasn't even on that damn boat with Nolan. But everybody that was on that boat, radio silent. No type of post. And we know this is what kids do. This is what teenagers do. Hell, adults do that. When somebody close to you passes away, they go straight to social media and post a bunch of photos about, their friendship, how much they miss them, how they want to bring justice. Everybody that was on that boat did none of the sort. What they did was deactivate their accounts and go silent and had their parents speaking for them to try to make it seem like they weren't guilty of anything, when we know it was all bullshit. So that's what I'm saying. Like, why isn't the law enforcement, you see there's blatant holes missing in the story, right? You see that they went completely silent after the fact. That would automatically raise suspicions to me. That's why you cannot say that this isn't racially motivated, because why wouldn't you go further into looking at the reason why all the people that were last to see Nolan Wells alive went silent after he was reported missing, allegedly. They're not doing that.
Like, this hurts. Like I've never lost someone this close to me. And like, for people to say that I was the last to see him and keep twisting and turning my words and say that how did his closest friend would have knew his password. Like, so they're trying to say that, paint me a picture to been the reason this is happening. I promise you guys, if I was the last person to see Nolan, I seen him by himself, he would have been home with us today. He would be with us today. I would still be able to talk to my friend every single freaking day. And so it really it hurts me so much, hearing people say these things, but at the same time, people are just going off what they hear. So it's hard, honestly.
You're saying that when you posted about Nolan, a lot of the comments you're getting are people berating you, saying that you should know more about what happened to him?
Yeah. When I feel like that shouldn't be the case, because I also had a completely different ride out there. He had his own people. I mean, he hangs out.
And again, y'all, I don't understand this interview at all. I don't know if this helps the case. If you weren't on that damn boat, I don't care about anything you have going on. Something about it to me, y'all, is just odd. Something about the energy, something about the things that he's saying. It doesn't make sense. And why is TMZ talking to you and not law enforcement?
With these guys almost all the time, so I'm thinking he's fine.
If you know anything, which I don't think this kid actually does. Maybe he's trying to do the best friend thing and trying to speak up for his friend, but I don't know if this interview helped the case. But let's continue.
I'm not thinking nothing of it.
And you never heard of Nolan having any kind of an argument with these guys before? You never heard anything like that?
No, sir.
What are people saying? I mean, these guys,
actually,
some of them have gotten lawyers.
Well, I'm curious if the police have, I know they're
lawyered up. Immediately after, before anybody knew Nolan was missing, they lawyered up. Clear admission of guilt. You're hiding something. You're covering your tracks. You're getting ahead of it. But no foul play? That's foul play in itself.
They said they're still investigating. Did any investigators ever speak to you about what you saw that day?
No, sir.
That's odd.
I don't see why the cops would have to talk to me. I mean, obviously, I had said my plea, because whenever I had talked to the people.
I had said my plea. To who? You said your plea to who? You said the cops didn't talk to you, but I had said my plea. Said your plea to who? I don't understand that.
Son heard. It was whenever, the body was discovered and the autopsy people and all those people were there.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm surprised. Because you knew Nolan well, and you knew that he was friends with these guys who were the last ones to be around him before his body was found. And I would think they would at least want to know, hey, just the things we're asking.
Right.
Did you ever hear of any of this stuff? It's odd to me.
Just to gather information.
Yeah, that the cops wouldn't have contacted you. Yeah.
It's not odd. Y'all playing it real smooth, man. It seems like they honestly did not want to or care to solve this case for real. Exactly. And that's the only thing I'm left to believe, because after hearing what the mom said, what the dad said, even what Lil Bro saying right now, I mean, it's kind of clear as day they wasn't planning on really investigating for real.
Whole case thing, whatever, this whole situation, and none of this adds up to me. So it's really hard, for people to just keep on saying things.
Hold up, that's deep. Nothing adding up to somebody who was round just makes the situation 10 times worse.
Things when like none of it adds up, honestly.
So one of the things that I'm sure, Javon, you've seen has been a big part of this story, people making the point that, at least in the photos that we initially saw, that Nolan was the only African-American kid who was out there, at least on that boat. Do you think, having been there on the island with this large group of people, that race plays a factor in whatever happened here?
I don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer that question. I don't
want to answer that question. Why not? It's almost like somebody told you, if they ask anything about race, you say, no, I don't want to answer that question. Because naturally, I just don't feel like that will be a natural response. It does look weird. These things have happened before. But to specifically use the phrase, I don't want to answer that question, it's like he's sitting on the stand. He pleading the fifth. And he's not even being investigated. That's what I'm saying. But he's being put out in the media, right? He's being the face speaking for. He wasn't even the one that was on the boat with Nolan. But we haven't heard from anybody else that was. But he's being the face in the media right now, denying any racial biases, don't know what's going on, trying to remove himself, etc., etc. I call bullshit.
I wouldn't say like, yeah, I wouldn't want to answer that question. I mean, obviously we go to Ocean Springs, we're gonna have white friends. So like that's, I mean, I guess it's pretty normal down here, but
yeah, I mean, and I hear you. If that's, I guess you're saying that it's normal, it's not out of place to be a black teen in that area and that you have white friends, right? That's not uncommon is what you're saying.
I'm sure every black person has white friends somewhere, you know? So I wouldn't say that it's a whole race thing, but it's just like, obviously they're going to paint it as that because none of this adds up. So.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
I wouldn't paint it as a whole race thing, but obviously they're going to paint it as that because nothing adds up, baby. I hate to break it to you, baby. It doesn't add up because it's a race thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't add up. It's not making sense because it is a racially charged situation right now. It's almost giving sacrifice. The way this whole thing is being set up is almost giving this was purposely done because we all know all of the latest stories has been coming out with black bodies being found hung from trees or being randomly unalived. It's happening so much. And there have been several that happened just within the weekend, just within this last week, right? It's giving, somebody is getting a, it's a rabbit hole, but a powers that be, right? I don't know what's going on, but it just seems like somebody is getting, there's a notice that's being put out, kill as many niggas as you can. Unalive as many niggas as you can. Because it's not like we're seeing a bunch of, it's not like, you see just people in general being found hung from trees. No, it's specifically black folks. Specifically in the South. So you can't really say that it's not racially charged when everything points to it being racially charged. So what do we know now? Lies. Everybody lying, right? The boys that were on the boat with him haven't spoken out. Their mother, one of the boys' mom has. So since then, there have been many updates, y'all. Many updates. So I want to play a video from Chronicle Speaks, right? And this was done about 2 days ago. It gives an update on the so-called parents that were a part of the boat, and it just gives a better understanding on what's been going on since then. So we'll play this video now. Oh, wait, there it is. We'll play the video now, and you guys let me know your thoughts about what you hear about the commentary within this video. So shout out to Chronicle Speaks. This was posted 2 days ago with the title, Update, Parent was on the boat with teens. Best friend shares new details, right? So let's continue.
So if you've been following the heartbreaking case of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, then you already know this story has taken a dramatic turn. What initially appeared to be a tragic disappearance after a 4th of July trip to Mississippi's Horn Island has now become the center of mounting public scrutiny, with the Wells family demanding answers, civil rights attorney Ben Crump joining the case, and an independent autopsy underway. For those who have not been following every development of this case, here's a quick recap. Nolan Wells, a football player at Southwest Mississippi Community College, traveled to Horn Island on July 4th with a group of, quote, friends. According to authorities, the group later left the island without him, believing he intended to stay behind and catch another ride back. When Nolan never came home, his family reported him missing. Days later, his body was found in the water near Horn Island. Officials have not yet released a final cause of death, and investigators have said that the case remains active. They have also said that they have not announced evidence of foul play at this stage. Since then, however, the family's concerns have grown, and so have the number of unanswered questions. Now, one of the biggest developments is that nationally known civil rights attorney Ben Crump is now representing Nolan's family. Crump says the family believes the investigation needs to be fully transparent and that every piece of evidence should be examined before anyone reaches conclusions about what happened. During a press conference, he emphasized that the family isn't asking for assumptions, they're asking for answers backed by evidence. The family has also announced that they are pursuing an independent autopsy. And we received word yesterday that Colin Kaepernick is funding the independent autopsy. Now, when it came time for an independent autopsy, the Wansley family didn't just hire any medical examiner. They turned
Oh my gosh, my bad, y'all. I took it off. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Started back right here.
by evidence. The family has also announced that they are pursuing an independent autopsy. And we received word yesterday that Colin Kaepernick is funding the independent autopsy. Now, when it came time for an independent autopsy, the Wansley family didn't just hire any medical examiner. They turned to Dr. Roger A. Mitchell Jr., one of the most respected forensic pathologists in the country. As the chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C., Dr. Mitchell has conducted more than 1,400 autopsies and has been trusted to weigh in on some of the nation's most high-profile death investigations. In other words, this isn't just someone brought in to create controversy. This is someone brought in because of his reputation, experience, and expertise. Now,
I want to pause it right there because we're talking a little bit. This is the person that they hired to do a private autopsy for the investigation. Now, I want to direct your attention to this video really quickly, because we're discussing the autopsy right now. The Coast Guard that initially found his body, Nolan Wells' body, this is what this person reported for Nolan.
Nolan Wells' body was found by a park ranger on his standard Monday morning rounds. The ranger said the body appeared that it just washed up on shore and the body was not waterlogged, which means forensics point out that there was no fluid in his lungs, which means he likely didn't drown, and it's indicative of his body being deceased before he was placed in the water.
Exactly.
Why is this not going viral?
Exactly.
Because it explains why the friend group has lawyered up and made all of their accounts private. And even with this information, a sheriff insists that there's no foul play. It was a drowning accident. However, he was deceased before his body was placed in the water, and there were already reports that Nolan Wells' body was beaten and bruised. It is also known and documented that there was an intense physical fight Nolan's friend group was fighting him, and the fight moved from the beach to the boat, and the boat sped away. And this was all in the 4 to 5 o'clock time frame. And when the boat returned and docked and continued to party and was seen partying at 7:30 with the same friend group minus Nolan, who was nowhere in sight, and they acted as if nothing happened. Nolan Wells was only identifiable via dental records and DNA, which meant his body, clearly his face, was so badly maligned that they didn't know it was him. You don't need dental records for somebody that supposedly drowned.
Exactly.
But was not waterlogged 24 to 36 hours ago. The cover-up seems to be in place. It's time for all of the videos from all of the people on the boats who watched Nolan be beaten. And there is one post on social media that says, "Nolan fought back. I promise you he did." This is awful. And it's eerily similar to what happened to Carmelo Anthony. And had he not been able to defend himself,
exactly,
he likely wouldn't have survived as well, because a mob attacked him while he was isolated.
Exactly.
Let me know your thoughts.
And this goes
Thanks for
to
watching
show
What She Said Sports.
And this goes to show that not only is there foul play, but not only is there foul play, but they're lying. So after learning that his body was not waterlogged, right, he definitely was jumped, my life, because at the end of the day, this is why Carmelo Anthony had to defend himself. Because you have entitled white kids that get around black kids that like to do weird shit, that like to play these weird macho games, right? First thing that came out before even finding the body, it was no foul play. But since then, we have learned his body was not waterlogged, and they needed to do a dental forensic test just to make sure Nolan's body was Nolan's body. That lets you know more to the story happened. But let's continue, because we thought that he was just found on that beach. But oh, no. Like that young lady said, he actually got back on that boat, ended up back on that party. They was whooping him, beating him, doing whatever to him, all the way back till they got to the shore. So let's continue.
Eyes are on what his independent examination may reveal. According to reports, those findings are expected separately from the state's examination and could help answer questions about the manner and cause of Nolan's death. Now, there's another detail that I recently came across that adds an entirely new layer to this case. According to Nolan's father, Elmore Wansley, it wasn't just Nolan and 3 teenage boys on that boat that day. He says that there was also an adult present, a parent of one of the boys. Now, if that account is accurate,
so where's the parent? If it was all an accident and y'all all love Nolan, where's the parent? Why haven't you come out? Why haven't you spoken up? Okay.
Accurate, it changes the conversation in a significant way. Up until now, much of the public's discussion has centered on what the teenagers did or didn't do. But according to Elmore, there was an adult on the boat who, in his view, shared a responsibility to ensure that everyone who left Four Horn Island also made it safely back to the mainland.
Exactly.
Take a listen at this.
Nolan was always taught to stay with the group. If you leave with me, you come back with me. So that I don't understand. And with me being a parent, if I was in that situation, I would have told him, you're going to get back on this boat with me because I don't want to have to answer to your parents if something happened to you.
Right.
So you're going to get on the boat. And if you still don't want to get on the boat, someone give me a phone so I can make a phone call to get your parents on the phone so they can tell you to get on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
But at no time will I leave someone else's child especially on the island.
So you
Stranded.
think he got left behind then?
Yes. I don't believe he decided to stay on the island by himself. It just doesn't, that's not his character.
Mm-hmm. And why would he stay on the island by himself without his cell phone, without his keys? The fact that they're not even pushing back on the original narrative that was put out after finding out none of it adds up to what actually happened is a problem. The case is already botched.
if you are my real friends and I'm giving you this trust, you need to get it back to me by making me. Making me get on that boat. It's 3 of them, one of me. Yeah, we may tussle, but when we get back to the mainland, either we're gonna tussle some more, or we gonna go party. So, and same with the adult. If that was your child and I was the one there, you would have wanted me to make your child get back on the boat. So it was a lot of bad decisions made.
Exactly.
I don't think my son volunteered to stay on that island. I can't believe that.
Now, Nolan is right here. You can see him at the end of the boat. Those are his blue shorts. They match. This right here is somebody's bad built daddy because none of the boys that was with him look like that in the body. And I believe that's Mr. Yellow Shorts and a hat up there in the front. So everyone was wondering who is driving the boat if it's just the 4 of them on it.
What did I just say? Who was driving the boat? Where is the captain? Because captains are liable. Somebody turned up dead on your boat under your watch or missing or drowned. Oh, you're going to be held accountable. But we haven't heard from anybody else that was around. We haven't even heard from these kids that's on this boat. But now let's switch it over, right? Because now there are more updates. Let me play a little bit more of this because now we get a little bit more insight. There was a scuffle. Autopsy reports show that they needed to test his dental, test his teeth to figure out if that was really his body or not, which lets you know that they hurt that boy's body beyond a damn drowning. Okay, let's continue to play, and then we're going to play another video that gives a really good breakdown of the autopsy.
Well, obviously, we know it's one of their parents. Well, that parent was not only okay with them drinking underage, but that parent was also okay with them leaving Nolan behind. And speaking of parents, Judge Ashley Cole, Warren's stepmother, had this to say in her second announcement to the public.
Second announcement. Her first one was July 5th, just the day after they found his body. This is July 9th. She's on a press tour. She's explaining herself. She is letting everybody know she's trying to control the narrative, period. Again, complete admission of guilt. How is this not a thing? Like, why does the state of Mississippi just allow these narratives to take form when the real truth is right there, challenging the narrative that y'all putting out? Any other time, the judge would have been questioned already. Ma'am, why are you on this? Why are you putting out all these statements? Now listen to what this lady said the second time, because we already discussed her first statement and how ridiculous it was, how deflective it was, how she was just explaining herself, how she was trying to absolve herself of any accountability, making herself the victim, making her kids the fucking victim. How dare you make yourself a victim when you were involved in the unaliving of another child? From a family that you say you love, from a family that you say you knew. But instead of coming out, trying to do everything you can to bring justice, you're explaining yourself once again. So let's take a listen.
We have decided that we will not be speaking to the press at this time. The media is not the appropriate forum to further elaborate on the facts of July 4th, 2026. We realize that the truth will not stop the cause for the unaliving of our small children. We have not had the opportunity to speak to the Wells-Wansley family.
Why not? You haven't had the opportunity to speak to the family, but y'all went to high school together. You went to high school with his mom. Y'all love Nolan. Remember? What type of friend of the family are you to claim that you love your friend's son so dearly and so much, and you're so devastated, but you haven't even talked to their family yet? But you and your family were the last to see their son alive? You're lying about everything, ma'am. Like, enough is enough. The playing in our faces, all of that, wrap it up. It's not making any sense.
Or their attorney. However, we are willing to directly communicate with attorney Ben Crump and the Wells-Wansley family. We will provide them with all of the information known to us so their family can rest and properly mourn. We also want to know what happened to Nolan. We will do everything within our power to assist Nolan's family in their quest for answers. Now, perhaps the most talked about aspect.
You want to do everything in your power to assist the family. Oh, Lord. You want to do everything in your power to assist the family to help find answers, but you don't want to speak to the media. You're privating your accounts. You're not speaking directly to the family. You only want to speak to Ben Crump. You didn't lawyer it up. You're hiding evidence. You're changing narratives. You're saying different things. Okay.
Aspect of this case right now is Nolan's cell phone. Nolan's mother has publicly stated that she tracked his phone using Life 360. According to her account, the phone was no longer on Horn Island. It had returned to the mainland.
I don't know any 18-year-old, if you go with their story that he said he was going to stay behind, I'm going to leave my cell phone behind. It's not adding up.
But we are grateful, especially to our friend Tashima, who actually was one of the people who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was and then provided that to us. Our friend actually, when I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said, Tashima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another. So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent. And then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. So like I said, she went there and spoke with,
and apparently his car ended up at the judge's house. Apparently his car and the keys ended up at the judge's house. So we already know it's some bullshit in the game, but let's get into the latest development, the latest update, which is this photo that turned up about this pool party where Nolan Wells allegedly was at a day after or that same night this whole situation took place. This is what is making everything look extremely suspect now, because we thought he was turned up on the damn shore and was left out there, but apparently, according to the autopsy report, he was beat up. Apparently, to this photo, he was at a party screaming and begging for his life. So let's go on and turn our attention to this video here with all the new information.
I'm going to tell you what Nolan Wells' mom...
Hold on, sorry. Let's shift our attention to this video here so you can get more insight on the latest developments regarding this photo, regarding the autopsy report, etc. Because everything we just watched, everything we just covered, none of it is adding up to the original statements that they are coming out with in regards to his death. But now it gets even freakier. Now it gets even worse. So shout out to Trent Out Loud. He broke this down really well. This was posted just a day ago. It says Nolan Wells was alive July 5th. He did return. Now, I do want to preface this by saying this new development has not officially been confirmed by anybody. I don't trust law enforcement to confirm this development, and I don't trust the other family to confirm it either. But you know, the power of the people are taking over as it pertains to this case, and they're the ones coming out with this new evidence. And also other people, other kids that were in the vicinity that knew Nolan, that knew the other family, that knew the white kids, they're coming out and speaking out as well. So let's get into it real quick. Make sure y'all like the video, please.
Has to say about this latest development. Sit back, relax. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the most shocking development since this case started, and then I'll hand it off to you, the Out Louders, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. My morning started off with a ton of emails with the screenshot you'll see here right beside me. The screenshot right beside me that I will not read in detail basically states that Nolan Xavier Wells did in fact return from Horn Island, and he attended a party, and he was alive July the 5th up until at least 3 a.m. And it is then when he got into a confrontation, and it's there where he passed away, and then they brought his body back to the water. Now, the reason why
I called that from the very beginning. They hurt that boy, brought him back to try to claim, oh, it was an accidental drowning. He left, that whole bullshit. This confirms my thoughts.
I was a little bit hesitant in the morning is because I get emails every day about different stories and developing stories about stories that I'm covering. And it's my job to make sure that I sift through them to make sure that I'm giving you guys accurate information. That is my job. So when you click on this channel, you know you're getting accurate information. As time went on, I saw a few people talking about this on Instagram. Some pages that were not so reputable, smaller pages, and I didn't think too much of it. But like I said at the top of the video, when I saw attorney Benjamin Crump post about it, that is when, to me, this story got a lot more solidified. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you. I am not 100% convinced, and I'll show you in a minute why, because of the caption that attorney Benjamin Crump put once he posted this picture. But let me get to this. Let me tell you a little bit more about the development of the story. I'm not going to read the full thing, but I'm going to put 2 more screenshots, and then I'm going to play a video, and then we'll get into the details of what the caption said with attorney Benjamin Crump. Let's go to the next picture. Now, for those of you who want to read the details of this, feel free to pause.
Yes, we're going to read this because this is very important, y'all. So let me make it bigger for you. And let's examine exactly what was said in regards to Nolan being at that pool party, etc., etc. So it says, bro, No didn't get into a fight at the island. It's our other friend, No, and Wyatt did get into an altercation right after that, not even 10 minutes later, because Wyatt took his phone and Evan was trying to be hard. Nolan was definitely screaming, give me my effing phone back, nigga, what the hell wrong with you? So they all calmed down. So that's when we head to Evan's house because he was throwing a pool party. So yes, No came to the pool party. And yes, we was drinking. But Wyatt and Evan and Morgan and Andrew was really high. And I think they was trying to get Lucy and Natalia to try some as well. But yes, they got into it again at the pool party. It didn't end until almost 1 a.m. I know Evan's mom kicked us all out once they started fighting. It was Andrew and Evan, Wyatt and Warren was basically recording and laughing, saying, get him, get him, get him. And all I could hear was No screaming, mom. So they're saying, get him, get him, get him to Nolan. And you hear Nolan screaming, mom. So yes, I tried helping. Then his mom came out screaming, yelling drunk, making us leave, and was saying she was going to call the cops on us if we didn't leave her house. But they didn't let No leave. They didn't let No leave. They didn't let No leave. Why not? They didn't let No leave. So they holding this boy hostage. Is what you're telling me, essentially, right? You're holding this boy hostage. So it says they wouldn't let No leave. And was saying she was going to call the cops on us if we didn't leave our house, but they didn't let No leave. And No was by the basketball goal that was inside the pool. He was leaning over beside it, gasping for air and spitting up blood. But now his mom, no, I just got off the phone with her. So this boy is saying they basically got into a whole ass fight so badly that Nolan was bent over somewhere, grasping for air and spitting up blood. At this pool party, 1 a.m., July 5th. Okay? July 4th, that night, they made the call and said that this boy was missing. Now I'm confused. That's why it seems like, was this all a setup from the beginning? It seemed like they already had their plan together. Seemed like they already had it, because it's just confusing to me. And everybody lying, everybody full of shit.
And read the details. I will not lend my voice to this until it is 1,000,000% confirmed. Like I said, we're trusting Benjamin Crump. And here is the third screenshot. Like I said, it's basically saying he came back, he was at this party, and the picture that I showed you at the
Now, these are kids, these are people that were in the vicinity, these are people that were at that pool party that are speaking out and telling the truth, allegedly. We, like this person, like Trent out loud is saying, people can come out and say everything just for clout, you know, spin narratives, you know, create different AI photos to make certain things seem like what it's not. But in this case, it seemed like there's some validity because it's coming from different sources and they're all saying the same thing.
Top of this video was him in the pool with his friends. Now, let's get to the video that summarizes all of this. Take a listen.
So allegedly, Nolan did leave the island and he went back to Wyatt's house for a pool party. And during that pool party, there was an altercation between Wyatt, Nolan, Evan, and somebody else. And apparently they beat Nolan to death with some sort of bar or pole. There are people that are putting out witness statements stating that they were there and they saw Nolan spitting up blood and that these boys it on Nolan. They are saying that Evan's mother knew about the whole thing. Allegedly, they took Nolan's body back to the water. They're saying that this is the reason why it pinged on land at that house before they found that phone. This is why that boy told his daddy that Nolan was like a brother to me, when he showed up to get his car. It's because they already knew he was gone. Is this the reason why they needed dental records? Because he was unrecognizable? This case is starting to bust wide open. And we all knew that something else happened to Nolan. Now the question is, which of the parents helped those kids?
Now you'll see I have the picture in question.
You already know which other parents. It was the damn judge. Everything was found back at his house. Everything was allegedly found back at this judge's house. His car, the keys, everything. They already had the plan in place. We got into it. We killed this boy, mom. We need to. But the thing about it is, okay. So it does kind of make sense. It does kind of make sense if they left during an altercation from the island, got back to the house and continued the altercation. I guess it would make sense for them to come. But the thing about it is that this happened at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., July 5th, allegedly. But the call was made for him to go missing at around 11 o'clock p.m., July 4th. At least that's what the Coast Guard was told. And then his body was found that Monday.
And zoomed in here beside me on my screen. You'll see at the top corner here that there's, I don't know, almost looks like where you would step out of the pool. Nobody knows why this is circled. Nobody knows what that is. But you'll see on the other side, there is where the basketball net is. That is what she's talking about. A couple of other things to note is in the three Facebook screenshots that I just showed you, it never says Nolan. It says Nono, N-O-N-O. It could be a nickname for Nolan. I have seen some things online that says that Javon has come out and said that this Facebook post is not about Nolan. But for those who watched my video yesterday, y'all know that like this whole Javon interview with TMZ is a little bit weird. So I don't know how much I trust Javon. That's one thing. We're going to get to the dental records in a second. For those who've been following me for the past week, you know about that conspiracy theory of the fact that there is alleged that on Monday when Nolan's body was discovered, he wasn't able to be identified right away and they needed dental records. I played that for you, which is the first conspiracy theory I talked about. I hate talking about conspiracy theories. But in that video, I also showed you a fact that Attorney Benjamin Crumb said that Nolan's mom didn't identify the body. And if you guys remember on Monday when the body was discovered, it was 3 or 4 hours before we found out that it was Nolan.
Right.
It was, the headlines were, there was a body that found, we don't know who it is. 3 or 4 hours later, it was identified, but it wasn't identified by his mom. We don't know who it was identified with. So this story could be true. That was the one thing where I was like, maybe it might be true. Because if you're just on the island and you're swimming off and you drown, you'd be able to be identified.
Right.
If this story is true, which what Attorney Benjamin Crump just reposted and people are talking about, it would make sense that you would need to identify him with medical records if he got beat up by 4 people. Okay. I'll talk about more of that in a second. Now, I want to show you guys.
But again, why isn't this going viral? Why haven't law enforcement or the authorities come out with these new developments? And I'm also wondering, well, let's just keep going. I'll save my commentary.
What was the caption under this picture from Attorney Benjamin Crump that kind of makes me go, You'll see here, Attorney Crump, and it says repost from, I'm not going to give this person any shout out, but by the way, this person has under 1,000 followers on Instagram, and no shame to anybody who has 2 followers or 2 million followers. All I'm just saying, it's not coming from CNN, ABC, NBC, or even like, let's say like somebody from new media like myself, who is reputable, have gone through Diddy trials, Ashley Janae, who I have proven my credibility on this internet here. I haven't seen any sort of credibility from this person, so I'm scratching them off. Now, the repost is not Attorney Benjamin Crump saying anything. He just reposted what this person said. Nolan Wells investigation update. The streets are talking.
Now this also concerns me when it comes to Attorney Ben Crump, because like Trent out loud is saying, I know we just discussed how Ben Crump can be a little sketchy, but we're going to trust as much as we can. We're going to trust his judgment when it comes to the case. But the fact this wasn't his caption that he reposted, and somebody else that's in the ether just saying things, as an attorney, I would think you will want to make sure that you are reposting accurate information in regards to the case that you're covering. But let's see what he said.
Listen, I don't know if these are facts or rumors because no official statement has been confirmed. We sometimes have to follow all clues until the truth is found. Here is what was discovered on social media last night. Social media allegedly claims a photo existing of Nolan at a land-based pool party in Jackson County before 1 a.m. July the 5th. Now, we all know the story that the boys say they didn't see him after what? I think 3 or 4:30, or they didn't see him after July the 4th at 3 o'clock. They left at 4:30. Katie said last time she saw him was on the island, but then there's a pool party at 1 o'clock, and this now a week later we're hearing about.
Hey, you guys, make sure you get the likes up. I'm gonna pause it real quick. Thank y'all so much for being here. What's going on? Can you explain what's going on in your mind when you picked out those glasses? I thought they looked cute. Okay. I thought they looked cute. But y'all, thank y'all so much for being here. Listen, right, that sounds racially ritualistic. 3 a.m. is considered demon time. It's just so many different things. Y'all. But make sure y'all get the likes up. If you want to support the channel with the Cash App, my Cash App is $more jazz. I'll put the banner up for a little bit. Thank you guys so much, truly. Wait, where's my? Oh, here we go. I'll put the banner up, get the likes up. Let's continue, because this shit is getting deep, y'all. It's one thing after the next. And I'm just waiting on the real truth to be revealed. Because there's too many holes in the story. There's too many unanswered questions, but there's pivotal evidence that's being brought up that isn't being addressed and isn't going viral enough.
About it. And now Attorney Crump is posting saying he doesn't know if this is fact or fiction. So if you're the lead attorney in conducting the investigation, why are you reposting this, sir?
Right.
But who am I to tell the Nolan family who to trust? You hire Attorney Benjamin Crump, and I have worked with Attorney Benjamin Crump. I've told you guys that with my Nike case a couple of years ago when I was suing Nike, and they are a very, very thorough office. I mean, I don't have to tell you about Attorney Crump, George Floyd, etc. He's been around for years. So regardless of my experience with them and his history, I still question the fact of why he would post something and leave in the caption, we don't know if it's fact or rumors, but maybe he's just saying, hey, we don't know if it's fact or rumors and we need to explore everything. Maybe that is the case. I don't know. Now, here's a timeline that is circulating online. If the pool party ended at 1 a.m. at Evan's house, why call the Coast Guard at 11 p.m.?
That's what I said. If you called the Coast Guard at 11 p.m., but the fight didn't happen until 1 a.m., what was the point of calling? Seemed like y'all already knew what story you were going to run with this boy. It's giving, this is deeper than what meets the eye, you guys, at least to me. It seems like there's a deeper cause and effect going on. Let's already get them, get them thinking that this boy drowned, even though he's still in our possession, before we even unalive him. It seems like this was already thought out and already planned to land on a certain narrative, because the timelines are not matching up.
What time did Nolan's mom pick up the phone, and from which friend's house? Now, I don't know if we know the time yet, but we know that Nolan's mom didn't pick up the phone from the Good Morning America interview. She said she sent her friend, and I don't know if she gave a date, but I'm going to assume that we all know that most people thought he went missing July the 4th. So I'm going to assume that she got back the phone July the 4th. That's what I'm assuming. She didn't say the date on her Good Morning America interview, but that's what I would assume. But if there's a party at 1 a.m., then maybe she picks up a phone July the 5th in the night. I don't know. If the party ended at 1 a.m. and they were cleaning the boat at 3 a.m., this means they had 2 hours to get rid of the body.
That's another new discovery that hasn't made headlines yet. Them motherfuckers went back to that boat and cleaned it out at 3 a.m. That right there is tampering with evidence. Everybody needs to be locked up. Because why are you bringing back a boat that allegedly somebody that was on that drowned? Everything is evidence, right? Is evidence right now. Everything needs to be considered, looked at and dealt with as if it could bring any more answers and any type of justice to this unaliving of this boy. How is it not ringing any red bells, any alarms, raising any red flags to law enforcement after knowing that they went back to that boat to clean it out? What are you cleaning it out for, and why are you doing it at 3 a.m.? Usually boat owners clean out their boats the next day, broad daylight. So you're hiding.
How long does it take to get out to the boat launch and get to Horn Island and back? Legitimate question. Okay, here you'll see the person that first posted this picture, and now it has since been deleted. But you'll see here the timestamp that it was posted July the 5th at 2:53 a.m. Okay. Now, underneath this post, there's this caption. Nolan Wells was alive on July the 5th, 2026 at 2:53 a.m. Based on a social media post attributed to one of Nolan Wells' lying friend, Nolan appears to have been alive at approximately 2:53 a.m. July the 5th, 2006. Nolan's father retrieved his keys from a female who was at the pool party, an account his father later discussed during an interview with Roland Martin. Okay, so that's a little bit off there. Nolan's father first said that at the press conference, the Al Sharpton press conference, he didn't receive the keys from a girl. He received it from Jax. Where the girl comes in is that Jax first lied and said, I don't have Nolan's keys. And then there was a girl that called in, or a girl that somebody knew, that was like, hey, tell Nolan's dad to tell Jax that Nolan's keys are on top of the Xbox. So that's why people think that it was—
That's crazy as hell. Lock these people up. Lock them up. Lock them up. Throw away the key. You lied and say you lied. That's a crime in itself, is it not? Is it not? That's a crime. You are lying to law enforcement, saying you don't have any of his belongings, and they find that shit sitting on your Xbox, just casually sitting there. Everybody needs to be investigated. Everybody needs to immediately go to jail. Because what do you mean? You lied and said you didn't have his keys and they found him in your house on top of that damn Xbox. What do you mean? How are you not in jail? How aren't you suspect number one? How are they getting away with this? I don't get it.
The girl just called Jax out. Okay. Now, Nolan's mom got wind of this story that this girl put out on Facebook and has everybody up in arms with this latest development, once again, including Benjamin Crump. Now, Nolan Wells' mom came out and said, she's not a close friend of our son's, and I've never spoken or met with her. Now, she doesn't say that this story is not true. She just said she hasn't spoken to her. She's never met. I don't know. But it doesn't sound too much like Nolan believes this story, or maybe she feels like there's some truth to it. I don't know. All I'm just saying is this doesn't read well. And I bring this story full circle back to, I can only imagine if Nolan's mom is sitting down here saying, she's not a close friend. I don't know this girl. I've never met with her. I never spoke with her. And my elite attorney is posting this on his Instagram and on his stories. I could just imagine what must be going on. And if this story turns out to be not true, this will be a huge stain on Attorney Benjamin Crump's name, my opinion. Now, I just want to go over a few things or a few more details about this story, why it could be believable and why it could not be believable. Okay, the first story why I find it hard for this story to be credible is every single person in this picture, and quick count, let's say around 20 people. That would mean these 20 people are all in cahoots together and is lying to the police.
Yeah.
Because up until today, right now, nobody has seen Nolan after 7 p.m. July the 4th. If this picture was taken July the 5th at 1 a.m., that means all of these people are going to jail because the police have conducted an investigation and none of these people have come out to say, he was at a pool party at 1 a.m. All these people would have to go to jail. So all these people, and there's probably more people at the party. So just quick math, that would mean.
See, the thing is, when you got that judge involved, like they do, that judge, that mom, Ashley Cole, once she's involved, she got everybody in her back pocket. Law enforcement, the investigators, she's controlling the narrative. She is painting the picture. That is why nobody has been investigated yet. It seems like they got that shit in their back pocket. Hold on, let me read some of you guys. The boy drowned. Where's your proof? When forensics and the Coast Guard confirmed that there was no waterlogging in his body that would contribute or would confirm to an actual drowning. It is also now confirmed that he was gasping for air, spitting up blood, and they had to do a dental exam to identify his body. If you just simply drowned, you could see who that person is. Why would they need to do forensics on his teeth to identify his body if his body wasn't crushed the fuck up? This is new evidence now. So if you're just getting here, please understand, it has been confirmed he did not drown. He did not drown. He was put back in the water to make it seem like he was drowned, or it seemed like he accidentally drowned. That's what it's given.
That at least 40 to 50 people would have to be in cahoots to be lying about this and be willing to go to court to.
And I don't put it above them. I don't put it above them at all. Why couldn't it be 30 to 40 people all in cahoots? The whole state is in cahoots. According to the history, when these things happen, it gets swept under the rug when it comes to Black people. But let's continue a little bit on this video, give a little more insight, and then we'll switch over to the next one. So, because there has been another update since I've gone live that I want to share with you guys. So let's continue and move on.
Say that this story is true. That's what would have to happen. Now, on the flip side, one thing I do find a little suspicious about the original story is that Nolan went missing July the 4th. Nobody saw him after, let's say, roughly 4 or 5 o'clock. The Coast Guard was alerted, and there's skepticism about the Coast Guard and when they went out to look or whatever. But we do know that they went out to look July the 5th-ish. We don't know the time. But they did go out. They did not find him. They only found him July the 6th, which was Monday, around 9 a.m. Now, I'm not an expert on searching, but if you have a whole team out on Sunday, I find it a little bit weird that the body does only wash up or become closer to shore July the 6th. So this story could be true that, something happened to him July the 5th. they dumped the body, they kept the body, they did something, and then went out and put him there at some time during July the 5th, and that's why I only found him July the 6th.
I believe that's exactly
That's why I'm
what
still
happened.
not too sure about this story. And then it also makes sense of why was the boat at the judge's house at 3 o'clock in the morning cleaning it? It would make sense if they beat him up so badly that they had to go there to clean the boat. Now I understand, I've seen people in the comments.
Listen, that's what happened. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't make sense. None of it is making sense. None of it is making sense. Coast Guard confirms there was no waterlogging, so clearly the man did not drown. The boy did not drown. Several people are coming out saying that boy was at a damn pool party. We saw the picture. Now the picture looked a little sus, whatever, what have you. But the way that people are describing the situation, how he was by that damn basketball net, coughing up blood and shit, how his belongings ended up with his friends, but his so-called friends, but not his body at first, allegedly. They did something to him, brought him back, and that's how they ran with this narrative. But let me switch your attention to the latest breaking news that just have come out. Shout out to Hype TV. I want to share this with you, and we're going to react to it in real time, you guys. Shout out to Trent Out Loud. If you want to finish that video, make sure you go and subscribe to him. He gives really good updates as well. Well, let's go ahead and go over this video that just came out with Hype Plus TV, with the caption saying, Nolan Wells' friends caught lying after admission. Timeline exposed. Let's get into it.
Hype Plus News, I'm John Abba. The case of Nolan Wells continues to be filled with unanswered questions, but as more information comes out, it appears the truth is coming to light. This time, we are seeing conflicting stories and timelines from the accused. On Sunday, another friend of Wells, Trayson Shepard, would for the first time speak about the day in which he would reveal that he was actually the person in the viral video at Horn Island heard yelling. In a new interview with Rolling Stone, Shepard would go on to admit that he wanted to fight someone after they would comment on he and his girlfriend arguing. I told him he needed to mind his own business. From the Rolling Stone article, it reads, Shepard says the exchange became heated and that he and the other man ended up getting into a physical altercation. Shepard's uncle, who had raised him like a father, told Shepard to get out of the water and onto his boat so they could head back home. Shepard complied, but once he got on the boat, he changed his mind and decided he wanted to go back. Shepard's friends had by that point begun defending him on shore. Around this time, another adult on a nearby boat started filming the video. My exact wording is, get me off this effing boat. I wanted to fight, and I feel like I hadn't had my fair share. Now, what makes Shepard's new admission interesting is that it looks to have exposed lies and inconsistencies with Nolan's friends, whom he traveled to the island with, saying that they last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. that day. If you can recall, the video that captured the aftermath of Shepard's confrontation would end up being captured at 4:01 p.m. And in this interview with Rolling Stone, Shepard would confirm that Nolan was actually in the water out of view on camera at that time, as well as noted in this new interview that he was around Nolan and friends at 3:30 p.m., meaning Nolan was still very much near everyone else, despite his friends reporting to police that they last saw him at 3 p.m. Now, from this Rolling Stone interview, Shepard's admission goes on to reveal, Shepard says the man in the video, who people think is Wells, is too short to be his 6'2" friend. He says Wells is not shown in the video at all, that he was just out of frame, hanging out in the water. Now, according to official reports and a statement made by one of the young man's stepmother, who happens to also be a judge, Ashley Cole, would state her stepson and friends would leave the island around 4:30 p.m. due to issues with their boat. In her statement, she would say, Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taken on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Now, what's interesting about this statement is that a leaked direct message from Warren's biological mother several days before to a Facebook user looks to contradict this statement by a stepmother. To note, Warren's biological mom's message would take place before Nolan's body was found, in which it was only thought he was only a missing person, making it appear for some that this new changing of times and separating them to last seen Nolan at 3 p.m., he was only a mistake.
Let's read this. Let's read what Warren's mom said. So she says he repeatedly asked Nolan to get on the boat at 5 when it was time to leave. But Nolan, see, now the timelines don't make sense. 5 o'clock, it was between 3:30 and 4, I thought. So he said, but Nolan wanted to stay with the girl and their boat was parked next to his. He was insistent about staying with this girl. See, they're framing it to make it seem like he wanted to stay with this girl. He was being reckless. He was being irresponsible. They were trying to insist that he came back. So you mean to tell me y'all was begging your friend that you care about so much to come back on this boat with y'all? The boat that's supposed to be sinking, by the way. The boat that's allegedly having some pump problems, right? You're telling me that you're begging your friend to get back on the boat. He refuses. And not only does he refuse to get back on the boat, he say to keep his phone with y'all too. The boat that's allegedly damn near sinking. But now the timelines are off because we last saw him around 4, but now they're saying we told him at 5 it was about to leave. Everybody lying. Lock them all up.
Person, making it appear for some that this new changing of times and separating them to last seen Nolan at 3 p.m. is part of a cover-up.
Yes.
Warren's actual mother would go on to write, I am Warren's mother, the woman you have been talking about on Facebook and posting pictures of our family. I'm here to tell you that we all love Nolan and we are deeply distraught. Your information is not correct and I ask you to please stop posting about Warren and our family. My son did not ride out with him, nor did he come back with him. The boat that Nolan was supposed to get on, Wyatt's boat. He repeatedly asked Nolan to get on the boat at 5 when it was time to leave, but Nolan wanted to stay with the girl and their boat was...
But wasn't Warren the boy that allegedly first to notice that Nolan wasn't with them anymore? Because she's sitting here saying, oh, he wasn't with them when they came. He wasn't with them when they got back. I need to confirm that. Wasn't this the same boy that she claimed was the first to speak out about him being missing? Now all of a sudden he wasn't there? Yeah.
Parked next to his. He was insistent about staying with this girl. Wyatt asked him several times to please get on the boat, and the people heard him. My son loves him and would never in 1 million years leave him. Warren does not even have a boat. Nolan has been to our house several times and he is the sweetest friend. We all adore him. Again, when Wyatt asked for him to get on, he said he wanted to stay and Wyatt's boat started to fill with water. His boat ended up breaking down and was towed in. Now, as shown, Nolan is documented due to his friend's new interview with Rolling Stone to being near everyone at 3:30 p.m. and again at 4 p.m. when the altercation happened, and not 3 p.m. as stated by Warren's stepmom, as well as a leaked message from Warren's actual mom that now places Nolan speaking with his friends about leaving around 4:35 p.m. Again, not 3 p.m. It is under these conditions that speculation has grown and leaves the question of what happened. Now, according to a Facebook post that was made at the top of Nolan's disappearance, the young lady whom he was talking to's sister allegedly looked to have filled in more of what took place. According to her post, as Nolan's friends pressured him with ending his conversation with her sister so he can ride back with them. Katie had a conversation and assumed that Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came out in. Katie made it home because she was on another boat and with different people. Katie was safe because my brother and her sister-in-law went and got her. Katie assumed the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. Me and my family have talked, called, and are sending up prayers to bring Nolan home. We have given all the answers we can give to his mom and authorities. Now, with this series of information and reports, some are now feeling that Nolan may have been swimming to get on the boat and his friends would leave him in the water, thus being an explanation for some on why his friends are now separating when they last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. and when they left, instead of it all happening at once, as first indicated by Warren's mother, to hide that they knew Nolan was in the water to get back on the boat. Now, if this isn't the case and only speculation, then according to these statements and new interview, Nolan's friends would not see him for close to 2 hours, despite him still being documented with being on Horn Island shore with Shepard and others at 3:30 p.m. and later at 4 p.m., right after Shepard's confrontation.
Wow.
A part of that theory, one of the biggest questions that come up is, why was the Coast Guard contacted at 11 p.m. by his friends?
Exactly.
Leaving some to speculate that they knew Nolan was in the water when they last saw him, because for some following the case, it makes no sense that his friends would conclude Nolan was in serious danger and is in possible need of search and rescue, when according to them was last seen safely talking to a girl. To note, Nolan's father would state that he remembers seeing people camping on the island overnight when he searched for Nolan the following morning, meaning there was never a moment when the island was empty, meaning Nolan could have used another person's phone on the island if he was stuck. So what did his friends suspect about Nolan that night that would make them think of calling the Coast Guard? According to outlet WLOX, the first time the Coast Guard would be contacted about Nolan was on July 4th at 11 p.m., but it was later determined that it did not need their assistance. The Coast Guard told WLOX on Thursday, July 9th, that a friend of Wells contacted agency around 11 p.m., the night of July 4th. The Coast Guard would not disclose any information about the call to WLOX, but said it did not require Coast Guard assistance. A part of this, some are asking, what did Nolan's friends know, since Nolan had no way of contacting them after allegedly leaving his phone on the boat? Now, following this first report from the Coast Guard, they would eventually get involved the next day at 12:26 p.m. after being contacted by local police. The statement confirming this taking place would for some align with the theory that his friends knew he was in the water. As it reads, they were requested to search in the vicinity of Horn Island and not on Horn Island. At 12:26 p.m., Coast Guard.
It's just so much. It's just so much. It's just so much of the back and forth and no real direction or no real understanding of what exactly happened. But all this new evidence is coming out with conflicting stories, but yet the state of Mississippi is chilling about it. No breaking news.
Sector Mobile received a request for assistance from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office in search of a missing person in the vicinity of Horn Island. Sector watchstanders issued an urgent marine information broadcast and diverted a Coast Guard helicopter to search the area. Currently, as of this report, questions remain. Like, how did they know Nolan never made it back to land if they last saw him just talking to a girl? And again, why would the Coast Guard be a thought to call? As of now, many continue to speculate, especially after a new photo would go viral over the weekend.
And who is this old ass man in the water with them? Y'all see him? Who is this old ass man? Let me make this shit bigger. He don't look like a kid. Y'all see this man right here? Let me circle his face right here. Who the hell is that? That looks like somebody that don't need to be in the water with a bunch of kids in that way. It all just seems very weird. It is weird because the different stories, you're calling the Coast Guard, claiming that Nolan is missing, but he turns up at a pool party still alive later on that night, early into the wee hours of the 5th of July. Nobody is found, right? The Coast Guard went out. So it's just so confusing. So when they called the Coast Guard for the assistance, they was somewhere else partying with Nolan. The truth needs to come out.
Again, and later debunked by Shepard, of Nolan allegedly attending a pool party that night. According to another interview with ABC News, Shepard will go on to say that the pool party happened on June 27th, and this would also be verified by metadata according to Rolling Stone. Now, the same story would spread on Facebook and other parts of social media.
So now this photo isn't in connection with the entire situation. But then how do you explain them needing to get an autopsy or get a dental exam to identify the body? What is this situation of him coughing up blood? Who's spreading the narratives? What is the truth and what is not? But what we do know is that they had his keys, they had his phone at their house. What we do know is that they went back on their boat to clean it out. What we do know is that he was found after still being seen. Like they called at 11 p.m., reported him missing, but apparently was hanging out with him until 3 a.m. Well, until 1 a.m. But around 3 a.m., you go back to the boat to start cleaning it out. What is going on? What is happening?
When the user would allege that Nolan was beat up at this party and later dropped back off on the island. The person would even claim to have spoken to Nolan's mother, in which Nolan's mother now looks to have expressed that the person spreading this story is not a close friend of his, as they claim, nor ever to her. As of this report, people following the story continue to wait to the now 2 autopsies conducted to better confirm what may have happened to Nolan that day. Let's talk about it when it comes below. Now,
So you guys, it's just more conspiracy. Everything as of right now is all conspiracy until we get those autopsy reports officially back. These are all recent updates, right? We did confirm through the Coast Guard the body wasn't waterlogged, so we know he did not drown. We just need to figure out what happened. Where did he go? And if it's true that this photo isn't from that day or from that night, right? So explain the autopsy. Well, we are still waiting for the autopsy, but explain how his face got messed up. Explain how his body washed up on shore after they came out to start looking for him all Saturday night, Sunday, but they didn't find him until Monday morning. Explain the deactivation of the accounts. Explain why you have to jump ahead of everything if this is just all an accidental drowning. But apparently in the state of Mississippi, this is a thing. So I want to play a video for you guys. And I hope I'm giving you guys some information and keeping you updated. I'm going to try my best to keep you guys updated on everything that's going on. But all we can do right now is pray for Nolan's family and that they receive justice and that we find out the actual truth. But what we have been told so far is not the truth. And it may take a lot of social media presence and the power of people to actually crack this case open, because we can see the bullshit lining up. We can see the cover-ups already happening, but the timelines are already off. Nobody is being forthcoming and honest, and the fact that everybody that was on that boat has not been questioned by police at all, just to even ask about Nolan's last whereabouts, is a problem in itself. But that's why I want to direct your attention to the next video, because apparently this is a thing from Mississippi, right? So let's get into this video here, and you guys let me know, do we have a chance of finding answers and the truth for Nolan Wells and his family in the state of Mississippi when they operate like this?
Trey Reed, Mississippi.
Hold on.
I need you to sit with this number for a second. Raynard Johnson, Mississippi, 2000. Otis Bird, Mississippi, 2015. Lennon Lacey, North Carolina, 2014. Trey Reed, Mississippi, 2025. Kyle Basinga, Georgia, 2026. Almost every single one of these cases ruled suicide. Some within days, some before a full investigation ever happened. Families reporting broken bones, bound hands, feet touching the ground, and still, case closed. One civil rights organization found at least 70 suspected modern-day lynchings across 7 southern states since 2000. Just in the Deep South, 20 of them in Mississippi alone. And we all know who's from Mississippi that just was found unalived. Nolan Wells. So I have to ask, if this were happening to any other group of Americans in this concentration, in this pattern, would the FBI still be sitting on the sidelines?
Exactly.
We're told this is one of the hardest hate crimes to prove. Black people aren't tying nooses and hanging themselves to trees.
Absolutely.
Not to mention the broken bones, feet on the ground. How's this happening? This isn't about assuming every ruling is wrong. It's about asking why the pattern itself isn't the investigation. It's about asking why these families have to hire their own forensic pathologists just to get a second opinion on their own child's death, as in the Nolan Wells case. They're hiring someone to do the autopsy outside of Mississippi. Black people in America have never been protected at the same standard as everyone else. This is just the latest proof. Say their names: Gerard Jackson, Tonae Miller, Juliana Nzita, Kai James, Denoris Richardson, Roy Veal, Clarence Otis Cole, Nick Naylor, Gregory Johnson, Frederick Germain Carter, Marco McMillan, Ben Keita, Philip Carroll, Sandra Bland, Willie Andrew Jones Jr., T.T. Gully, Malcolm Harsh,
Crazy.
Dominic Alexander, Robert Fuller, Emmanuel Kildea, Omari Bryant, Leon Hayes, Trayvonte Schubert Helton, Javion McGee, or Javi, Denoris Richardson, Earl Smith, Tori Medley. Share this. Push for the DOJ to review these cases as a pattern, not one by one. Support organizations already doing this work, because right now they're doing the job the federal government won't.
Exactly. And then on top of this, though a few of those, right? A few of those lynchings, and by the way, a lynching doesn't necessarily have to mean hanging from a tree. A lynching is considered when a Black life is unalived randomly and there is no justice and they want to rule it as a suicide, but all evidence regarding how they were unalived doesn't lead to that. That is what's called a lynching, right? But it's the fact that so many lynchings have come up just in 2026 alone. If this was a whole bunch of white girls being hung from trees, a whole bunch of little white boys being hung from trees, this would be a national emergency. The fact that we already know why he wouldn't, but the fact we haven't even heard from the president just to acknowledge the things that are happening lets you know it's part of the play. Lets you know this is something that they want to happen, that they want to continue to happen. And these are just sacrifices of the things that of the narrative and kind of like the plot of America that they want to continue to carry out. In addition to all of those killings, while we were talking about Nolan Wells, I had discovered another story that this creator had mentioned about Gerard Jackson, right? So apparently, a young man named Gerard Jackson, he went to a festival with his friends, only white, amongst a bunch of white friends. Apparently, he went to this festival, turned up dead, hung from a tree. Not to mention, his Apple Wallet was used at a gas station shortly after, right? Not by him. All things lead that he was murdered and killed. But like that creator that we just covered, that we just showed, the FBI, everyone that has gotten wind that can actually bring justice to this boy and to his family, they're ruling it suicide. The playing in our face, the convincing us of things that aren't happening, like I'm over the constant gaslighting. The constant gaslighting that society wants to bring onto Black people to try to do away with justice for Black people. But it's getting too hard to deny. So let's get into a quick story in regards to Gerard Jackson.
Here we go again. Another grieving family. They still don't have the answers that they deserve.
Hold on one second. Oh, here we go. All right, let's go.
Jared J. Jackson, a 28-year-old man from Illinois, disappeared after attending the Electric Forest Festival in Rothbury, Michigan. Michigan State Police later found his body in a wooded area near where his rental vehicle had been located. Investigators say that their initial preliminary findings indicate that Jackson died by suicide and that they have found no evidence of foul play. They also say the investigation remains open while they await the medical examiner's final report. But Jackson's family say that they don't believe that that's the full story. They've privately questioned the investigation, pointing to the fact that his rental vehicle... Here we go again. Another...
was communicated with.
Here we go again. Foul play. They also say the investigation remains open while they await the medical examiner's final report. But Jackson's family say that they don't believe that that's the full story. They've privately questioned the investigation, pointing to the fact that his rental vehicle was found with his wallet and keys inside of it. They also allege that there were attempts to access his financial accounts after his disappearance and are urging authorities to conduct a more comprehensive investigation. At this point, those concerns have not been confirmed by law enforcement, and police have not announced any evidence linking another person to Jackson's death. For the family, though, this case is far from over. They say they simply want every question answered, as any family would, just like they want every lead thoroughly investigated. Now, as the investigation continues, many are watching to see whether additional evidence changes the official understanding of what happened. My thoughts are with Jared Jackson's family during this difficult time for them.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Now, we just heard this boy went to a festival willingly with his friends. Now, there's also, in regards to this case, his so-called friends called his parents and told him he was having a mental breakdown, a depressive manic episode, and walked off from the festival. Next thing you know, you find him hanging from a tree, not too far away from his car in a wooded area. But yet, after that body was found hanging, his Apple Pay was used at a gas station. Looked like it, but no foul play. And my thing is, why are y'all trying to convince us that that Black folks are just walking around with nooses in their pockets, ready to just unalive themselves just because they having a bad day? It's not happening. And the fact that there isn't further investigation in regards to how they got up on that tree blows my mind. Because you need help. You can't just hang yourself. You need a ladder. You need some type of chair. You need some type of step up to actually do the deed yourself. Are we ever investigating any other things that were around that will confirm that he actually did this to themselves? Because you've seen it. If somebody has done that in their home, there's usually a chair kicked over below them because they got on top of that chair to do the unaliving themselves. But these questions never get asked or answered when it comes to Black bodies that are being found all over. This situation with Gerard Jackson literally happened the same weekend Nolan's body came up missing. What the fuck is going on? And it's all accidental. It's all suicidal. It's all this and it's all that. And why is it that they can control the narrative and come out before even doing a full investigation and claim no foul play before they even get thorough information about what happened? Something is going on. This shit is deeper than what meets the eye. And we need more information. I want to play a couple more videos so you can guys, because this is the next thing that's coming out. And then there's another one, another story that just came out similar to Nolan's situation, but that person that was involved has allegedly been arrested.
I went to Electric Forest this.
That's the sickest shit that I've heard so far.
Just days ago, Gerard Jackson was posting on Facebook about his excitement for attending the Electric Forest Festival in Rothbury, Michigan, as he traveled from Illinois and looked forward to getting settled. Shortly after arriving, Jackson was reported missing after allegedly displaying erratic behavior. According to reports, he even called law enforcement on himself, a call that may have been his last known communication. The details of that call have not been released, and we have submitted a public records request seeking additional information. Authorities later located Jackson's vehicle and wallet in a field near the Electric Forest venue. On Tuesday, investigators announced the discovery of what is believed to be Jackson's body. Formal identification and the cause of death remain under investigation. The discovery marks the second death under investigation connected to the festival area this week. On Sunday, authorities also began investigating after a newborn baby was found dead inside a portable restroom. We will continue to follow both investigations and provide updates as more information becomes available.
That is insane.
Just days.
All this weird stuff going on. And mind you, this is not even making headline news. It's like they're suppressing all of these unalivings. They're suppressing it so much so it doesn't become the narrative. This is a national fucking emergency. I'm gonna share one more one more story with you guys before we get out of here. And thank y'all so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. Y'all have been such a wonderful, wonderful audience today. Round of applause for you for hanging out today. So let me get into this new drowning that apparently happened recently that no one's talking about. Let's get into this, you guys. Same freaking story.
In the death of a North Texas teen. It was supposed to be a fun day of fishing for 3 young men at Lake Ray Hubbard. Instead, it turned deadly after the group jumped in to swim, and 18-year-old Daniel Irving never resurfaced. Now, months later, police have arrested a 19-year-old they say tried to cover up and hide what actually happened that day. Fox 4's Alex Boyer picks up our top story from there.
According to Dallas police, text messages prove that the victim and suspect knew each other and had made plans to meet up and go to a lake back in April. Now, the victim, Daniel Irving, never came home. His mom reported him missing. It wasn't until nearly 3 months after his body was recovered that police have made an arrest in connection to the case.
19-year-old Lucas Roper is accused of tampering with evidence in connection to the drowning death of 18-year-old Daniel Irving in Lake Ray Hubbard back in April. Irving's body was discovered on April 17th, 4 days after he is believed to have drowned. Irving had reportedly gone to the lake with Roper and a juvenile suspect to swim and go fishing. Days after his body was recovered, Irving's family held this news conference demanding answers.
What do we want? Justice for Daniel Irving. Amen. When do we want it? Now.
Irving's family said then that they wanted a full and transparent investigation. On July 9th, Roper was arrested by Dallas police on 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Roper was interviewed by detectives after Irving's body was found. Roper told police after the 3 of them had jumped into the lake from the railroad track bridge, Irving drowned and Roper panicked. Instead of calling 911, the affidavit states Roper told investigators he deleted all communication with Daniel Irving from his cell phone, adding that Roper confirmed he was aware that there would be an investigation into Daniel Irving's death, and he did not want to get into trouble, and states Roper threw Daniel Irving's clothes in the tree line as they fled the location.
Oh my God.
The juvenile suspect also told investigators he admitted he threw Daniel Irving's cell phone from the vehicle after suspect Roper told him to.
We, the family, are deeply inclined these individuals intended on no one looking for Daniel.
Absolutely.
Fighting for Daniel, advocating for Daniel.
Irving's siblings said his young life was full of promise.
He had just begun his recruitment to the U.S. Army. He was trained with discipline. He carried himself with a purpose. He believed in building a life of service.
This has been tough on our family. Daniel was our protector, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. He was a good kid, and he just didn't deserve that.
Roper was booked into the Dallas County Jail. I can tell you that his bond has been set at $10,000. Now, we don't know the status of the juvenile suspect. Because he is a minor, Dallas police are not releasing any additional information.
I don't give a damn. I don't care if you are a minor. You are tampering with evidence. You threw this boy's clothing in the sky. You wanted everything that would trace back to you and him being together on the night that he died gone. That's beyond panicking. You're covering up a murder. If this was your friend and he accidentally drowned, it would be nothing for you to be like, we were just having fun and it went wrong. But this is the same excuse that these boys are going to use. Trust me when I say so. They're quiet right now, but when more evidence about Nolan's case comes out, they're going to hit us with they panicked. They didn't know what to do. They just did anything. They're just kids. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I hope more evidence, I hope more truths come out in regards to all of these cases. This is a national fucking emergency. We can't play about this anymore. And it bothers me when I see the families, they come out, they're not enraged enough for me. They're not mad enough for me. And I feel like they are being told to say things a certain type of way to appease the media, to not make it racially charged, to not upset anyone that can potentially help them. I don't give a damn about it. Raise fucking hell. Don't back down when it comes to this. Get in front of those cameras and demand justice. Yes, I do think. Say everything they don't want you to say, to keep that pressure on them so they cannot ever say that. You said, see, they didn't want to make it about race. They said it's not about race. They don't believe that it was about race. They said Nolan had loved his white friends. No, fuck all that. There's too many inconsistencies. There's no way you can tell me that none of them white boys who claim to be his best friends have no idea of what happened to this boy. The boy that just was found at that festival. The boy that was found months later after this boy went swimming with him and he drowned, allegedly, because this would lead me to believe that you drowned that boy, that you did something to sacrifice that boy's life and tried to hide it, because you went on about your everyday life for 2 months before even letting anybody know. You got Gerard Jackson, Nolan Wells, and the last person that we spoke about, Daniel Irving, all coming up missing, dead, with their white friends. White friends somehow managed to stay alive through every situation. It's nothing but bullshit in this game, but we're going to continue to figure this thing out. Y'all know I'm all about the people and finding justice. Finding justice and helping to find justice for these acts of violence that we continuously are enduring and experiencing, specifically in our Black community. We need to be louder about it, and we need to demand more from the FBI and from the government to make this a national emergency and call this shit out for what it is, so these things can stop happening. But we know it's going to be a struggle. We know it's going to constantly be a fight. But until next time, y'all, I appreciate y'all being here. That's all I got for y'all today. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. We'll be back with more updates this week. Until then, I'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much. Exactly. Appreciate all y'all for being here. And I'll get out to y'all next time. Peace.